What starts as a typical morning interview with one of Hollywood's most bankable stars quickly turns into a live on-air confrontation no one saw coming. Tom Cruise expected to discuss his latest Mission Impossible film, but instead, he faced a calculated ambush by George Stephanopoulos that ended with cameras rolling and security stepping in. What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars sits down for what should be a routine morning show interview, only to find himself facing a host determined to tear him down on live television? Tom Cruise thought he was walking into Good Morning America for a standard promotional chat about his latest Mission Impossible film. Instead, he found himself in a verbal battlefield with George Stephanopoulos, a confrontation so intense it would end with security escorting one of the most famous actors in the world off the set. The cameras rolled, and George Stephanopoulos flashed his practiced television smile, but there was something cold behind his eyes as he looked across at Tom Cruise. The interview was supposed to be straightforward, a simple promotional segment. Tom had done thousands of these, settling into his chair with the ease of a seasoned pro. "We're here with Tom Cruise, one of Hollywood's biggest stars," George began. "Thanks for having me, George. Always a pleasure to be on Good Morning America," Tom replied with his trademark enthusiasm. But George wasn't interested in movie talk. He leaned forward. "Before we get to that, Tom, I think our viewers are more interested in the controversies that seem to follow you. Your involvement with Scientology, for instance. How do you respond to critics who say you use your celebrity status to promote what many consider a dangerous cult?" Tom's smile faltered briefly. "Well, George, I'd rather focus on the film today," he said, steering back diplomatically. But George pressed on. "Oh, but I think our viewers deserve honesty from their celebrities, don't you?" Tom's jaw tightened. "George, with all due respect, I came here to promote a film that hundreds of people worked hard on. If you want to have a different conversation, maybe we should do that off camera." "But we're on camera now, Tom," George replied mockingly. "Don't you think you owe people some accountability?" "Accountability for what, exactly?" Tom fired back. "For entertaining people, for doing my own stunts." George leaned in. "Some say your insistence on doing dangerous stunts is ego, that you put productions at risk." Now Tom's smile vanished. "George, I don't know what kind of interview you think you're conducting here, but that's completely out of line. Every safety precaution is taken. I trained for months. I'd never put anyone at risk." "But you have." George pressed again. Tom stood abruptly, his face flushed. "You know what, George? I've been doing this for over 30 years. I work with people who trust me. This isn't journalism. This is a hit job. I'm just asking questions," George said. "No, you're not. You've made up your mind about me before I even sat down." George replied smugly. "My job is to hold public figures accountable." "And who holds you accountable?" Tom shot back. "What about your responsibility to be fair, to treat guests with decency?" George's mask slipped. "I've interviewed presidents, people who actually matter." Tom's voice turned quiet and dangerous. "So, I don't matter. My crew doesn't matter. The people who watch my films don't matter." George tried to backtrack, but Tom wouldn't let up. "I think you've decided that because I'm an actor, I'm less deserving of respect." Then Tom challenged George directly. "When was the last time you asked yourself whether you were serving your audience or just your own ego?" "I don't have to listen to this," George said weakly. "Actually, you do," Tom replied. "Because unlike you, I'm being honest." The control room was frozen. George, now visibly sweating, said, "Let's take a commercial break." "Oh, no," Tom said. "You wanted this live. Let's keep it live." The cameras kept rolling. George's control was gone. "Move on to the film," George begged. "You think you can insult me for 10 minutes and just move on?" Tom replied. "You thought I'd sit here and take it, like other celebrities. But here's what you didn't count on. I'm not them. I will fight back.
George, in the real world, when you disrespect people, there are consequences. How do you explain to your bosses that you turned a simple interview into an interrogation? You know what the saddest part of all this is? Tom said softly. I used to respect you. I thought you were a real journalist. There are real stories out there, George, but you chose this cheap ambush instead. George whispered, Tom, I think we need to end this interview.
Oh, now you want to end it? Tom laughed. Now that you're uncomfortable? George signalled the control room to cut, but Tom turned to the cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, what you've just witnessed is what happens when journalism loses its way, when drama becomes more important than truth. George tried once more. Tom, I'm the host. This interview is over. Tom turned back with ice in his voice. You're right about one thing, George. This interview is over, but not because you ended it, because I am walking away. He faced the camera once more. To anyone watching who wanted to hear about the film, I'm sorry. That wasn't my choice. But the movie was made with integrity. The same integrity I brought here today. With that, Tom Cruise walked off set, head high, completely in control. George sat alone, small and shaken. The ambush had backfired spectacularly. As Tom reached the edge of the set, George called out one last time. Tom, wait. Can't we just... Tom turned back. George, the next time you want to interview someone, try remembering they're a human being first and a story second. Maybe then you'll remember what journalism is supposed to be about. That day, millions witnessed more than just a celebrity interview. They saw a man defend his integrity live on air and a host who forgot his own. Let me know in the comments, was this hard-hitting journalism or a failed attempt at manufactured drama?